So for those of you who don't know Joanna, or even how we met maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
At least.
Networking and whatnot, and I attended one of her, I don't even remember what it was called, but it was around sexual transformation. And growing up, I had some really cross-wired programming around sex and all of that. And so I remember taking a 3-day event with Joanna, which helped break free so much of that. And I'll share more of that story tomorrow. And so ever since then, Joanna and I have partnered and collaborated in ways. And she's been a speaker at my event, and she's just really built this presence and built a business helping a lot of people kind of get rewired and overcome some of those limiting sexual blocks. How many of you have some sexual blocks that maybe you were taught growing up? And so she presents it in a way that's super fun, super sassy, super playful, and very deep and powerful all at the same time. So can we please give a warm standing welcome to the amazing Joanna Kennedy!
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. So I have a question. Who wants more pleasure and passion in your life, in bed and out? And who doesn't? Okay, just checking. And who's thinking, oh my God, we really are going to talk about sex? And we're going to talk about sex, and we're not, because it's partially about sex, and it's so much more than that. And so with that, we're talking about this idea of unleashing your sexual power to manifest your dreams. And in that, we're talking about passion, we're talking about power, we're talking about pleasure, and we're actually talking about prosperity. That story that Tony just told you're gonna see how there's aspects of that just weave through everything that we're going to talk about in the next 75 minutes. And I want to thank George again for the opportunity to be here. He always brings such a great group, and you guys are amazing. I've watched you for the last couple of days, and it's extraordinary to see you having your breakthroughs and opening up. And so with that, who's ready to rock and roll and play? Yes? Woo! All right. So, nope. This one. Okay. So I am Joanna Kennedy, although you'll notice with the signs over here, Joanna Shakti. And I'm honored to actually be sharing with you guys a name change and a brand change. All literally, you guys are the first ones to see it. The website just went live, and it doesn't all totally work, but it all went live yesterday. And so this is really being shared with you guys for the first time, so I feel really connected with you as well. And you can find more about me at ecstaticintimacy.com. And yes, I got the privilege 2 seasons ago to be on America's Got Talent as, of all things, the kissing expert. And so it was a real honor to show up in that space. And so you are in the right place if any of these sound even remotely familiar in your life. You know heartache just a little bit too well. And it doesn't matter whether it's romance or business or life. You hold yourself back even a little bit. Have we been talking about that this weekend? Like that part of you that only gives that 60% or 70% or 90%, but that difference, if you gave all of you, like if that's you, if you've been holding back on any level, this is for you. If you watched passion fizzle in the bedroom for some dream that you had, you went after, and then you ran up against that roadblock, and you let the passion drop. You're that strong, successful woman who feels like you have to do it all, be it all, and oh, where are all the strong men? Or the strong partners? Guys, you're that great guy, And you feel like you keep doing all these great things for women, for others, and it still never feels like it's enough. If any of that feels like you, then this is for you. I want to share just a little bit of my story, because here's the thing. I could not have imagined 15 years ago, probably even 10 years ago, that I'd be standing here or on America's Got Talent stage doing what I do. Because I grew up in the heart of the Midwest, in the heart of the women's movement, in the heart of the divorce movement, and all of those things had a massive impact on me. My grandfather was a Lutheran minister. I watched my parents go through one of the first divorces in the neighborhood. And George has been talking about your mindset and your belief systems all weekend long. And not only were my parents one of the first divorces in the neighborhood, they had one of those switch partners divorces, because we got divorced and then they switched and they married the partners of the other couple. So it made it really interesting. And to say that I learned some really interesting beliefs about men and women and love and relationship and who you could trust and who you could depend on. Nobody, by the way, was my story. I'm the only one that I can depend on, and I can't even depend on her most of the time. And so that mindset was crazy miswired. And then look at the conservative Midwest and the idea of sexuality. And I got it really clear. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You couldn't win in my world. And there was this crazy desire and this incredible shutdown. And I wandered around and wondering years later, after I'd married Prince Charming, who was 6'3", blonde hair, blue-eyed, par golfer, valedictorian, you name it, he was it. And then we were divorced 4 years later. And then as I'm dating, I'm like, why do I keep meeting all the sexually repressed men? What's wrong with them? It was never them. Who was it? You. It was me. It was absolutely me. They could never have expressed themselves with me because I didn't have the capacity for it. And that's what shuts down our power. It's because we run from it. And then we think it's out there, and it's not showing up because of them. But it's not showing up because you're not letting it in. So there was a wake-up call for me around what does it mean to be a woman? And there's a lot of definitions of that. And what did it mean to be the woman that I am is a more specific statement. And one of the things that I discovered was that back to those beliefs when I was really young of you can't trust anybody and you got to do it all yourself. Well, I made sure I got an electrical engineering degree and an MBA, and I started climbing the corporate ladder in the oil and gas and high-tech industries in the good old boy network of Houston, Texas in the 90s. I was a get shit done girl, and my last boss, no joke, told me I was a bully. That's how intense I was. And I was successful, and I was divorced, relationship after relationship after relationship, and I was miserable. And that wake-up call about who I was as a woman was something I had shut down and buried years before. And so you'll hear me say later on, there's no right or wrong, but one of the invitations that I have as you sit through this, and in any way you deepen with this, is that you look at who you are as the being that you are. The man or the woman that you are, the body that you are in. Who are you authentically beyond all the conditioning? Because that's where you come alive and that's where you unleash your dreams. So I had that wake-up call to find out who I was as a woman. And it was that day, the week of 9/11, with Tony Robbins, as a matter of fact, that I recognized I'm going to figure out who I am. And then I'm going to make sure no other woman goes through the pain that I went through. And no other man has to go through the pain that I put men through. because it's been flippin' confusing for a lot of decades. So that's why I do what I do, and that's why I'm standing here, even though I would have never thought I'd do it. And that's something we've been speaking about all weekend too, is listening to that call. And because I knew and I followed that passion, has it been easy? No. But it's absolutely why I'm meant to be here, and you guys all have that too. So here's what I'm talking about today when we're talking about unleashing that power to manifest your dreams, that sexual power to recognize. We're going to talk about masculine and feminine energy and what that means and why it's so powerful in manifesting. Tony actually demonstrated part of that in that video that we'll talk about. We're going to talk about this deepest manifesting and creative and generative power that exists on the planet. How to be captivating, magnetically attractive, so that you can attract not just a partner, but you can attract business partners, clients, what do I want? When they give you money. Yes, the investors. That's the word I'm trying to come up with. But who would love to attract all the things that you want in life by being you?
Come on.
Yeah. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Captivating and magnetically attractive. Calling in your dreams and desires while having the highest ecstasy in life. Who wants ecstasy in their life? All right. And your essence. We're going to talk about your essence. You're going to get clear on that today. And then this path of soul love, because underneath all of this is love. And living that path of love and interacting with that love in every interaction. And how you live that path impacts everything. So that's what we're up to. I promise I have so much to give you. 3 days with George, and that's only a tiny fraction. I'll give you as much as I can in the time we've got together, and then I'll tell you how you can go deeper if you want to. So who's ready to go? Woo! All right. So the 3 keys, we're going to start out with those 3 keys to influencing, connecting, and manifesting, and then we're going to dive deeply into one of them and a little bit more. Well, actually, we're going to touch on all of them. So those 3 keys, be you. Absolutely. We're going to talk about more about what that means. Captivate, where you are attracting magnetically all of those things you want in life. And the power of love. The power of love. As Mythica sits with glasses looking back at me that say love on them right now, it's beautiful. Yes, the power of love. So those are the keys that we are working with today. So what is captivating? And it is this magnetically attractive aspect of ourselves. And so remember I said it's attracting a beloved. It's attracting the business partners, the investors, the clients. It's like moths to a flame when this happens. So we've all seen, let's think of some examples of this. There's the woman who, she walks across the room and there's just something about her. And it doesn't matter actually what our orientation is, it's just that like there's that something. Who knows what I'm talking about a woman that just walks with that something? Yeah, that's a piece of captivating. She caught your attention. Or the masculine presence that maybe hasn't even spoken a word. Actually, Tony talked about it with the boy. The 8-year-old boy in the presence. And it moved Tony. That masculine presence that you can feel and you're like, who is that? Who knows what I'm talking about? Yeah. And there's the aspect of, I'll have what she's having. You ever notice somebody, even in the business world, and you see how they're showing up? I can think of one time I did a 3-minute little table talk at a networking event. And afterwards, I had 2 different women walk up to me and go, I have no idea what you said, but I want to know what you do. Because it was the presence, that experience. They were like, I didn't get it, but tell me more because I got it on some level. Get it? Okay. So this is the essence that we're talking about. It's magnetizing, captivating, because you're being you. And as a matter of fact, the idea of ecstatically being you. So think about that word or that phrase for a moment, and we'll talk more about it later on. Ecstatically you. So why does this even matter? It matters because it changes the world. And one of the things, if you guys take one tidbit away for you, it'll radically change your life tonight. And here's the thing. You, by being you, even one tidbit more of you, will create a ripple effect in the world that allows everybody else to be a little bit more of themselves too. And that's also what makes you captivating. So it matters because it generates results. It creates your dreams. And you, ecstatically you, are one of the most powerful, not one of, you are the most powerful thing in your world. Tell me that. I am, actually do this. Turn to your partner, give him a high five. I am the most powerful thing in my world.
I am the most powerful thing in my world.
Yeah. Yes, yes. This is why captivating matters, because you have power you don't even know you have. And it's about this ecstatic authenticity. And how many of you have tried to be the thing that you think is going to make you lovable or that's going to make you successful, and you've tried your dangest and it doesn't work? Who's tried and it's actually worked? Tried to be something that wasn't actually you because you thought it would get the results. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. It actually backfires. So give up trying to turn yourself into a pretzel. Seriously, and be you. If we're not being captivating, we're missing out on all the people that want to give to you and help you manifest your dreams. Because you turn off your light, they can't see you. You want them to see you? Yeah. So, couples, this happens in your marriages too. We stop seeing each other, we stop being captivating, now we get into the friend and roommate zone. Who wants a marriage in the friend and roommate zone? Well, it's kind of flat and boring. It works, but it's not really. Is it ecstatic? No. And we miss out on the miracles, the jobs, the partners, that check even that shows up in the mail. And oh my God, when you're being captivating, it's effortless. When you're trying, you're wasting way too much energy trying to be something you're not. And it costs way too much. So that's why this matters. How does it work? So there's a lot of aspects to being captivating. And the one that I want to speak to most today is the one that radically changed my life. It was the wake up to this idea of masculine and feminine energy. And this idea of how that is magnetically attractive, not just in bed. Like, it's absolutely, what we're going to talk about is absolutely the root of chemistry, but it's also the root of this power that is authentically you in the world. And so masculine and feminine. Let me actually back up here. Let's talk about the yin and the yang. And so there's masculine energy, there's feminine energy, and there's what I'll say is a more neutral energy. None of them is more right than another. What matters is that you get you, and then you be you. And there's a whole slew of conditioning, there's a whole slew of conditioning that tells us we shouldn't be who we are. And I want to start breaking down that conditioning right now for each of you. And it's not about gender. It's not about orientation. It's absolutely about energy. And so what we're going to talk about here is these two different energies, the feminine and the masculine energy, so that you can start to recognize when they're at play in your life. And here's how these two energies work. The yin and the yang symbol. These two energies are actually magnetically attractive to one another. They're like magnets. So when you take two magnets and you put them together, what do? If you have opposite ends, if you have a positive side and a negative side, they stick. What happens if you take those same two pieces of, I don't remember the material, I should as an engineer, but I don't. But you take those two same pieces of material and you put the same ends together, what happens? They repel. Like how fast, it's kind of fun to watch how fast it flips away, right? Well, remember back in the days when I said I was that engineer? And see, I was attracted to really masculine men. But I walked around going, where are all the strong men? Because I wanted to out-masculinize them. I wanted to be stronger than them. Any women in the room willing to admit they've tried to be stronger than men? We've been conditioned to do that. And then we're frustrated because they don't show up. How many ladies are willing to admit that? We've been frustrated with those same men. Yes, and so what we're looking at is that these two energies attract. Now, I will also say I am using language men and women right now because in general, most men will have predominant masculine energy. Most women will have predominant feminine energy. Some cases it's reversed, and some cases it's neutral. Again, I'm going to say this over and over again. It's not about one being right or wrong. It's about you getting clear on you. Because part of where we lose our own internal power to magnetize is because we're out of sync with ourselves. Like I was. I thought I was going to power through and be that bully. And oh my God, when I relax and surrender, I get so much more accomplished. I receive, I'm blessed with so much more. And I spend way less energy. And that's the difference, is that I wasn't being myself. I've watched many men be conditioned to let go of their masculinity for a variety of reasons. And there's been confusion around gender and who I should be or shouldn't be. So thank God, society in general is starting to invite truth to come out around this. And that's what I want most for you, is that you find that truth. So let's just look at some of these qualities right now. Masculine energy is more of our corporate energy. It is the driving, results, decisive, directive, focused, competitive, assertive. How many people recognize this energy? You've run this energy in your life. Only that many? Who's run this energy in their life? Okay, thank you. All right, and there's an aspect of that that is absolutely freaking amazing, and it's hot and sexy too. We'll talk about that. For some, it's not for others. And the feminine, in contrast, flowing, receptive, surrendered, soft, vulnerable, receptive. I might have said that one already. Radiant, creative. See, creative energy is part of what we've been talking about this weekend. And so what's also really interesting is that if you look at that yin and yang symbol, there's two things that I'm going to invite you to notice. One is that most, not all, most have a predominant, one of these two energies is predominant. Then we have a complementary energy. So for me, feminine is my predominant energy. But I also have masculine energy that's very authentic. And what that yin and yang symbol shows is that on the yang side, we'll call the yang side the masculine side, and in this case, black. There's a fully enclosed circle of yin. Like you've got to have both. On the yin side, there's a fully enclosed circle of yang. And so it's developing your authentic relationship with both of these energies that is what wakes you up and makes you powerful. So I'm going to speak to the straight feminine women in the room right now. And if you're attracted to a masculine man, and that man stands up tall, he knows who he is, where he's going, what he's about in the world. Is he attractive? Give it a sound. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. We're going to do some more of that a little bit later. So now, take that same man, and he opens his heart while he's standing tall and solid. And he opens his heart and he can access that tenderness. What happens to his attractiveness? Somebody's up here going like this. Give it a sound. Give it a sound. Yeah, that's the difference, is the two are actually in relationship. Guys, take that in. If you're masculine at your core, we're going to talk more about that in a minute. So it's also that being in my feminines, we get all this mindset, and we're not going to go a lot into mindset today, but start to notice your beliefs about being a man, being a woman, being masculine, being feminine, being any aspect of this, and where you limit yourself or give yourself the shoulds or the rules or the expectations. Because I used to think, oh my God, being feminine? Oh, that's weak. That doesn't get anything done. Oh, and I can collapse. And it's not a collapsed energy. It's very present, but it's very different than when I get direct and focused with you. I can be just as with you in my feminine. Can you feel the difference? Who can feel the difference in what I just did there? This is the whole of starting to really get in alignment with you. So, would you like to know more about what your essence is?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we want to take you into. And I'm going to just invite you to grab in your notebooks and make 2 columns. We're just going to do some simple answers here. And write an M at the top and a F next to it, just where you can write underneath it. And so I'm going to go back and forth between these 2 slides a little bit. The first thing that I'd like you to write is, I'm actually going to show you a sample because I drew this up. I decided a different, oops, it fell on the floor. Ah. So this is what we're getting to. So you're going to have an M and an F, and the first thing you're going to write next to it is lived. Lived. So this is what you've been living. We're going to look at first. How have you been showing up? So take a look at these 2 columns. And before you write anything else down, just look at, in your life, where do you spend the majority of your time? Do you spend more time in that feminine column? Do you spend more time in that masculine column? Do you spend time in both? Equally. Just notice right now. And for some of you, your business world will be completely different than your personal world. And if they are different, then notice that. Okay? So right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is like I'm hyper embodied in the masculine or I'm completely embodied in the feminine. That's the 10. And 1 is basically not any of that energy. So on a scale of 1 to 10, right next to lived under the masculine column, would you give yourself from 1 to 10, what would you say you've been living in the masculine column? And then from 1 to 10, what have you been living in the feminine column?
Do they have to equal 10?
They do not have to equal 10. We're not doing proper math here at all for any of this. This is just to get you an idea of what's going on in your life.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. They're actually 2 completely separate spectrums. Okay, everybody got that? Okay, now the next thing actually is, which way do I want to do this? Let me go forward 1. And now,
Did you want us to actually
Yeah.
write anything next to live?
yeah, so lived like this. So go lived in your masculine column, write your number there, and then your feminine number, write it there. Okay. Then, now, actually down at the bottom, we're going to skip over these 2 for a minute. Go down to the bottom and write lover. And think about, even if you've never had it, The best date evening leading into lovemaking, including the foreplay, including the way you're asked out, the way you're invited out, the way you're drawn into the bedroom or the kitchen, wherever this lovemaking happens to happen. If you could have your ideal lover and they're showing up in the ideal way for you that turns you on the most, would they predominantly be, this is where I have to go back and forth, in that masculine column or predominantly in that feminine column? And notice that first. For me, they were definitely in that masculine column. And if I was going to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, like we did what you were just living, I would put my ideal man at about an 8 on that masculine scale. And for me, and I'm giving you my example, and then I want you to do it for you, my ideal lover would probably be about a 3 or a 4 on that feminine scale, for me. So for you, where would you put them 1 to 10 in each column? And write that next to lover. Where would your lover be? Some of you are going to be in the middle. Doesn't matter. This is about getting to know you. Your ideal lover. Got it? Okay. Now, I have 4 questions for you. And you can probably just keep track of these in your head, but you can jot your answers down on the side if you want. The first question is, and what these questions are going to do, is now get beyond all of your conditioning into what's actually true for you. So like for me, I was living that super masculine engineer life, and it wasn't authentic, and I wasn't happy, and I wasn't healthy. So now, ask yourself, first question, if you could pick your ideal lover, again, feeling that attractive sexual energy, if you could pick your ideal lover, would they be physically larger than you, physically smaller than you, or the same size? Just jot down your answer. Next question. Would they be physically stronger than you, i.e. they pick you up and move you across the bed? Or would you be physically stronger than them? You pick them up and move them across the bed. Or would you both do that to each other? On a regular basis. All of this can be reversed once in a while, but think about what you want most of the time. Got it? Now, I will also say, especially with these next couple of questions, assume that you are absolutely safe, you cannot be rejected, you can't get it wrong, and you're going to get it your way. Like it's the ideal situation, okay? All right, so the next one is, would you be asked out, would you prefer to be asked out, picked up, and taken to dinner? Or would you prefer to ask out, pick up, and take to dinner? If you were totally safe and you could have it your way. Fourth question. If you were in a hot, steamy kiss up against a wall, I need a picture of that. If you were in a hot, steamy kiss up against a wall, more times than not, do you want to be the one against the wall receiving the kiss? I'm hearing, yeah. Or do you want to be the one facing the wall giving the kiss? Or if it's truly equal, and it's if you want both, but it's more like for me, I want to do it to my guy 1 time out of 10. That's me. For others, it might be we want it equal. So look at what's true for you. Okay? So now let me tell you what the answers indicate. So in the first question, if you want a lover that's physically larger than you, that's an indicator of feminine energy. If you want a lover that's physically smaller than you, that's an indicator of masculine energy. If you want to be stronger, that's an indicator of masculine energy. If you want your partner to be the stronger one, that's an indicator of feminine energy. If you want to be asked out, picked up, and taken to dinner, that's an indicator of feminine energy. If you want to ask out, pick up, and take to dinner, that's an indicator of masculine energy. And if you want to be against the wall being kissed, that's an indicator of feminine energy. If you want to be facing the wall giving the kiss, that's the indicator of masculine energy. Got it? Got it. Okay, so now that authentic spot. Based on what, and there's more questions, we could go deeper, but I'm giving you kind of 4 quick questions so that you can get an idea of this in your life. Those 4 questions give you an idea of what you authentically are in those masculine, feminine spaces. So authentically, I'm about an 8 on the feminine scale. I'm about a 3 on the masculine scale. Authentically, I have that masculine energy, but it's exhausting to me. Our complementary energy, if we have to run it all the time, by the way, is exhausting. Masculine people who have to run a lot of emotion want to take a nap afterwards. How many know what I'm talking about? Yes. Feminine people who have to drive hard, that's taxing to their body. It's exhausting. It tends to be why there's a lot more adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgias are starting to be identified as part of this whole dynamic and where we lose our power. So put your numbers for authentic in there. And then to keep the math really simple, subtract the smaller one from the larger one and write it next to the word gap. From the top 2, between how you've been living and your authentic. Subtract the smaller one from the bigger one, and that's your gap. Just if it's negative, it doesn't matter, just reverse it. Yeah, it's all we're looking for is how big is that difference between how you've been living and who you truly are. So how many of you had a gap bigger than 5? Only a couple people. How many people had a gap of 0? You're living totally authentically. Awesome. On one side, not the other. Yes. So what you want to do, what's important is to get those 2 things in line with each other. That's what your mindset, how you've been living, because your power. Again, to come back, the women that I work with are shocked. The men that I worked with are shocked when they go, oh my God, I didn't know I was going to come do this relationship work and my business was going to get better. Or, oh, actually, I don't have to work so hard and I can get better results, women will tend to say. Because men get their mojo back, and I'm saying masculine people get their mojo back, feminine people get their receptivity back. I like to say the mantra of the modern day woman is, no, I got it. The mantra of the happy, successful, taking care of woman. Thank you. Thank you. So this is your power. If you're feminine at your core, part of your power is to receive. Part of the masculine power is your presence. Just like that little boy that Tony talked about. He was showing up. Got it? All right. So we actually went through these. And now go back to those 3 keys. Again, this is about being yourself. Showing up as you. Yes? Yes. So part of we could dive into an entire model of masculine and feminine power, but one of the elements that is the least utilized by feminine beings that is so freaking powerful is receptivity. There's an aspect of presence. It's a little harder to describe in the feminine, so we won't go there right now, but one of the aspects of it is feminine grace. Those are aspects of feminine power. Masculine power, presence, like I was talking about that man earlier, and the control. And that's a whole other deep, long topic around how control plays out in these two things. But it's the presence, and I'll use discipline. Discipline is a masculine energy. But it absolutely, when used in that space, authentically, has incredible results. Oh, by the way, if you're a feminine woman and you try to use discipline to generate results, I'm sorry, if you're a feminine being and you try to use discipline to generate results, you're gonna be exhausted. This is why it's so important. Yeah, we just had a big aha over here. She's like, you're out of sync with yourself, and it's why you're working way too hard. Thank you. Yes. No, discipline with yourself.
So discipline, like, say you want to go to the gym and you
Can you guys bring her a mic real quick, please? Right up front.
So my question was, discipline as it applies to the feminine being.
Yeah.
You're talking about discipline as it relates to disciplining children or disciplining others?
Self-discipline more
So then-
specifically.
So for example, if I'm a woman, a feminine being wanting to be disciplined and say go to the gym and do my follow-up and make my sales calls and do all that stuff, you're saying that's not feminine energy?
It's exactly what I'm saying, and it will cause you to work harder and be more exhausted and get less results. Here's the difference.
So as a feminine being, I shouldn't try to be disciplined?
Yeah, okay, so I love it. And the total confusion and the total aha, and this is why this is so beautiful.
I get it disciplining others.
Yeah. Whoops. So here's the difference. This symbol, I don't have, oh, I guess maybe I do have a laser. Let's see. Can I figure that out? Oh, I do. All right, so I can come back over here. Okay, so the difference is that for the feminine, discipline is that big. It's that much. What too many feminine beings try to do is make discipline out here, try to make it huge. It's not that it's not a part of it. It doesn't completely go away. But inspiration. So when we get into power and we start to look at where is our inner guidance coming from, it's actually, there's a discipline aspect of that for the masculine. But for the feminine, it's about intuition. And this is where the difference comes in, is that surrendering to the inner guidance is way, I wish I totally had pictures of the aha that's going on here.
When you say it like that.
Yeah.
So it's like trust your intuition versus creating this discipline.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. On a spiritual journey, what's really interesting, I wasn't planning on saying this, but because this is here, most of our spiritual teachers over the decades have been masculine. They teach the masculine approach to spirituality. Abstinence, sitting, stillness. If you're a feminine being, get up and dance. Yeah, ladies. Stop. I mean, sitting. I will do a sitting meditation once in a while, but it's a small, small part of my spiritual practice relative to the full friggin' expression of the feminine. Let her out and play. Guys, do you like wild women, masculine men?
Yes!
Woo!
Yeah!
Yes. Like, ladies, let your wild side out, because that's where your spirit's going to come alive. That's let go of control. Here's another part. Okay, so we're totally off where I was going, but that's great. Let go of control. If you are feminine at your core, let go of control. Oh, by the way, how good are orgasms that you try to control? They suck. They don't happen. That's right. I didn't tell you in my story, but non-orgasmic, absolutely. That's part of why I'm here. Because I was so in control. I was so in that masculine. So let go of control if you are feminine, and you are going to have so much more ecstasy in your life. Ah, oh, thank you. Whoops, I'm going totally the wrong direction. I'm so out of control at this point. Normally standing here, I have to, I recognize what's the balance in each moment and then go back. So I'm like, whoo, I'm way out there. Oh, yep, so be yourself. Figure out your sexual essence. Figure out all the things, mindset that George is telling you that are in the way of you showing up as you, because there is nothing more attractive, more lovable, more passionate, and more powerful than you. Turn to your partner and go, you are powerful. Yeah. Yeah. Passion, prosperity, pleasure. Who wants more pleasure? Woo! The very last thing we're going to do is feel into some of that in just a little bit. All right. Hi. She said we're going to need earplugs. That's okay. We're on the 11th floor all by ourselves. Here's the thing. It's a journey, not a destination. You've got to live this path. It is a path. It is not a result. And one of the ways this is that I've come to see how this works. And we want to skip over the first step. We want to go out there and we want to have great sex. And we want to have great results and we want to be super powerful. But no, I don't want to be me. I'm trying to hide me, and I'm only going to show you this side of me. And who knows what I'm talking about? Okay. This life of ecstasy, this ecstatic life, starts with you. Then it goes to your relationships. You want a good relationship? You can't have it without being you. That idea of you got to love yourself first before you love another, that thought pissed me off, and a guy told me in college, and it made me so mad. And about 14 years later, I'm like, damn it, he was right. Then you can have the union. Then you can have the union. But before you can have union, you got to have you. Starts there. Yeah. This is, and so it's an evolution of your soul. From you, ecstatic authenticity. Remember I said I'd tell you what that meant? I said just contemplate that idea. Here's how I define ecstatic authenticity. It feels so good to be you that you never settle, sell yourself out, or twist yourself into a pretzel for anybody or anything ever again. Oh, yes. That's ecstatic authenticity. That's what I want for you. Then you can relate in the heart space, and you can have that connection. You can have the ecstatic intimacy where it feels so good that you, as you transition from intimacy to, or from authenticity to ecstasy, you're actually willing to be seen. All of you. Warts and all. Beautiful, ugly, all of it. Then you can get to intimacy. And then you can get to the uniting and the ecstasy. That willing to be seen, being seen, mutual seeing, self-love, romantic love, divine love. This is the journey. But it gets in the way. I will tell you guys later, if you want my slides, I'll tell you how to get them. Just give me a couple minutes. The problem is all the stuff. This is the mindset stuff. It's everything that's been getting in the way, the internal barriers, the avoidances. Oh my God, I don't want to be rejected, so I'm not going to go for that job, or I'm not going to go for that date. And it just progresses. They're different. Self-judgment, doubt, shame will show up in the authenticity place, but then judgment, expectation, obligation, the ideas of equality will show up, all this limited consciousness. And how we use strategies to avoid the very things that we want. Like, oh, I'm going to be independent, but what I really want is relationship. Independence builds barriers. So this is what we've got to overcome. And it's now your soul in love's evolution, that self-acceptance, where you, and when, here's the thing, when you are captivating, when you are ecstatically authentic, you are confident and powerful, because you can't be ecstatically authentic and not be powerful and confident. Like, it's impossible. So if you get to be ecstatically you will have all the confidence and all the power that you ever wanted. And then you get that relationship. And oh, by the way, if we jump over here, who'd love to be treasured and revered and worshiped in love? Yeah, that's where we want to go, but we can't get there without going through the steps. And I know that can be frustrating, but that's the truth. And it's a spiral. We spiral through these phases over and over again. We spiral through the first time. It's all about you. We're going to go through all 3 phases, but we're going to focus on you and activate the soul love in you. And it's a spiral. We're going to go back through it again, but this time we're going to focus on the intimacy piece. How are you being authentic intimately? How are you being ecstatic? And the intimacy that creates that. But the whole focus is on intimacy, and it's loving soul to soul. It's not my personality loving your personality. It's my soul loving your soul. Who wants that? Yeah, so that's the intimacy piece. And then, yes, one more time, and oh, by the way, it keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. How open is open? How big are your pleasure boundaries? We all have them, even if you don't think you do. It keeps going deeper. So you spiral through it again. And now we're talking about oneness. We're talking about union at the most divine level, living in that ecstatic union. Deeper and deeper. So there's a way that I take people through this journey. And it is basically those 3 things. Ecstatic authenticity, activating soul love, loving soul to soul, and loving ecstatic union. When I guide and mentor, this is the journey that I take people through. And I wanted you to just be aware of how I do this with people. And I have a couple of ways for you to go deeper. One of them is a gift to you, and one of them is another option and choice for you. You guys hand out those things, and I'll tell you about how you can go deeper. The question, actually, you know what? Go ahead and hand them out. But before we do that, I want to pop back here. Ask yourself a question right now. How deep do you want to go on that journey? For you, authentically, tell the truth. I don't care. I'm here to serve in the way that I'm meant to serve. How deep do you want to go in that journey? And answer honestly for you. And so with that, the first option for you is on this soul love next steps form. Is that the first gift is that you get my ecstatic intimacy jumpstart kit. There are 4 parts. One is going to take you deeper into this roadmap of soul love. One is going to take you deeper into what it means for this conscious masculine and conscious feminine. There's articles about sex, but if you want that gift, and if you want the slides, right next to that one, put the check mark in that box if you want me to send you that jumpstart kit. Pick singles or couples based on which one you want. You are allowed to pick both. And then if you want my slides, right next to that, write slides, because I have to do that separately. So make sure if you want those, write that on there. Then the second option that you have is a soul love breakthrough session with me. And what that's about is getting crystal clear on exactly what's been blocking you on this journey of soul love, on your ecstasy, on your ecstatic authenticity. And then we're going to look at what your path is. Where are you on that path? And most importantly, what's the next step for you? And I've set aside 12 sessions for this group. And so if you want one of those sessions, there are $397 value, $97 as an event special for this group. If you want one of those, fill in your details right now, and then take that form and bring it over to Kathleen, because she's going to number them as they come in, so that I'm positive that the first 11 people that turn those in, I'm guaranteeing those sessions. So if you want that, fill in the details and take it over to Kathleen right now. If you want just the free, fill that in and then send it back to the middle. Stay standing for this one. Stand up. And if you haven't turned in your forms yet and you want to, get them to Kathleen after we finish here. And you can always ask me questions afterwards as well. So right now, close your eyes, and just with the little bit that you've discovered about you in this talk, feel into that predominant masculine or feminine, or even neutral. That's okay too if that's the truth. Feel into you. And if it's neutral, if it's in between, it's actually both. But if there's one that's predominant, just feel it to the extent that you can feel it. And maybe imagine yourself in the best sexual experience of that you've ever had or you've ever imagined you could have. And feel that energy in your body. And take a deep breath in and amplify that energy. And then take another deep breath and amplify it one more time, even better. And now give it a sound. 1, 2, 3. Yes! Yeah, okay. Now, let's do that again, because I know there's more in the room than that. So take that deep breath in, close your eyes, feel it, move your hips, because your hips are that expression of that sexual energy. However they move, for the masculine, it's going to be more stiller, but there, for the feminine, it's going to be more flowing. Feel that in your hips. Feel it in your pelvis. Breathe all the way down to the base of your pelvis. And then let that sexual energy come up and merge with your heart. And then imagine that most ecstatic sexual experience. That most ecstatic lovemaking. And take a deep breath in and give it a sound. 1, 2, 3. One more time, even louder. 1, 2, 3. There, okay. Now, for fun, we don't have that many men in the room, but guys, will you just alone give us that masculine energy? So guys, close your eyes, feel it, imagine that best heart, sex, lovemaking, and give it a sound and let the ladies hear. 1, 2, 3. All right, ladies and feminine beings, take that in. And now, feminine beings, give the masculine that same privilege. Feel into your body, move your hips, breathe into it. And 1, 2, 3. Give it a sound, feminine. Guys, take that in. Masculine, take it in. And turn to the person next to you and say, "You're an awesome lover." All right, so thank you so much. I will be here. Come over here if you want to talk to me, you want to answer questions. Make sure you've got your forms in if you want the gifts or the sessions. Thank you so much, and live ecstatically, authentically.